going through South Park, Colorado. Howdy y'all, we're headed up to Monte Vista, Colorado. Look at some D4s. Well, this is one, and this is 5T2138. Had electric lights. Electric start pony. Interesting, somebody moved the toolbox up here. Beautiful up here in the valley. Very cold today. What did we do again?
More D4s.
More D4s. That makes 15?
I've lost count.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Who's counting? This is the great San Luis Valley in Colorado. Home of the sand dunes. We passed them back there a little while. Some of the best potatoes I've ever eaten in my life came out of the San Luis Valley. So the two D4s that we just closed the deal on are both native to the San Luis Valley, as is Dad's RD4. So they're all kind of potato farmer tractors. We got Tater over here, and I'll explain that name later in the video. We're also going to try and start this one later in the video. Operative word, try. This was a ran when parked 5 or so years ago. Before we do that, let's go ahead and do a walk around. On the side of the engine block, the serial number is a 5T2138, and this is the narrow 44-inch configuration. Just like Lefty, just like Dad's RD4. Although it's damaged, you can clearly see underneath where they stamped it 5T2138, as is the matching tag. That serial number comes out to be about early 1945. I suspect this tractor was actually painted OD green underneath, and I'll show you why as we continue the walk around. The drawbar is, well, it's got some wear, but it's still serviceable. You could see the remnants of some kind of a, looks like a forest green on a lot of these parts underneath here as well. We have found it very interesting that there's no indication that there was ever a decal anywhere on this machine under previous coats of paint. Usually there's some visible sign left of it, but there is nothing on this tractor. This has what is left of the original lights, and this is the rearward facing one on the back here on the seat. Of course, there's only one on here, but it does have provisions for two. You can clearly see a lot of the OD green paint left underneath. Very neat to see the newer style cast aluminum gear selector cover. I don't know what you call it. But on the earlier ones, the 7Js, 4Gs, these are cast iron, and they're also very prone to breakage in here. And these are a bit elongated compared to the old cast ones, and they also show a little bit of wear. Obvious OD green on the top cover of the transmission. This does not have the seat on it, but it did come with some beautiful early Hahn seats that I'll show you in a bit. Toolbox, we'll go through that at the end. I know you guys like the toolboxes. Very interesting on the 5T firewalls. This is inset where the air breather for the pony motor goes through. Again, more OD green paint on that. Somebody has replaced these gauges with some sort of an aftermarket gauge. Another interesting 5T upgrade is this different cover that goes over the clutch housing, bell housing area that has a incorporated bracket for the throttle linkage for the main diesel engine. The remnants of the wires going back to the light are still here. Quite a bit of wear on that left brake pedal, and pretty good wear on the right brake pedal as well. Steering clutches, a lot of good spring, still nice and free. Of course, on the 5T models, we're getting to the point where they harnessed the heat from the pony motor exhaust and ran it around the intake for the diesel engine. The remnants of the wiring harness here, going up to what used to be the generator, which has been removed. It would normally go right here where this cover is. More OD green paint on this air pre-cleaner. The remnants of one more front headlight. More OD green paint underneath on the top of the radiator. No evidence of a Caterpillar decal on either side of this hood, and this hood is very, very straight. Newer style water pump on the 5T models. Newer fan style. Newer fuel tower style. Newer style fuel pump and throttle control. Also the newer style screw-in style injectors. Pony motor pinion snaps in very nicely. The decompression system works on this 5T. This has an older Eisman style magneto. This has the vent at the top of the intake on the pony motor manifold to let air out when you put water into the system. Carburetor, throttle, and choke both work. They're a little sticky, but they work. The magneto switch works. This had the provisions for an electric start on the pony motor, but it has been removed probably when they took off the generator. Again, more OD green on the pony motor. OD green on the fuel pump and fuel barrels. Of course, this is at the end of World War II. The service meter down here is very readable. 2150 hours. Don't suspect that the pinion actually works in this. I'll show you why at the end of the video. I have the trusty 9H5909 gauge right here, and it's going to tell me what I already knew. Worn out. In fact, past worn out. Surprisingly have a few hours left in them on the grousers. Carrier, actually not terrible, surprisingly once again. Front idler. I can already see this one might have a problem. And it does. Yeah, it's not great. Very interesting to note here that they've put washers in here to give them a little bit of an extra adjustment for these worn out track chains. Track pins are worn on the bottom but have not been turned. They're still good on the other side. I almost forgot, an original Sylphin fuel pressure gauge. Pony motor, virtually no in play, and it is free. You can see over here somebody's welded this pony motor block, so at one point or another something came through the side of that block. The main engine has decent oil in it. However, we opened the radiator and no sign of water in there right now. Frankly, it looks pretty ugly in there. Side fuel tank model, of course. This one side swiped something and it kind of dented it in on the back side. Looks like this one's had a little bit of a fender bender too. Mr. Sprocket said that I forgot about the most important thing here. Let's check the sprockets. Pretty much toast. Now, there's one thing on this machine that out of 15 D4s and RD4s that we have, none of them have had, and it's something that we've wanted for a very, very long time. On the bottom of the tractor, where the drawbar back there hooks, you can see that there's something coming out the front, and that is the coveted tow hook. I can tell you right now, that is going to go on Carl, our recovery tractor. Carl's another 5T, only a wide and long track frame. Got the original D4 tag and 8B6578. You can see some OD green under there as well. Of course, this has the better final drives on it and pillow blocks that they carried into the 7U, 6U series. As opposed to the ones on this 4G Buster right next to it, you can see they're substantially lighter. Now I'm curious because the left brake pedal wear, let's see where the chains are on this side. And yes, they are still shot, but they are better than the ones on the other side. There are quite a few upgrades in the tensioning design on the 5Ts as well. You've been listening to me yammer on for quite a while, so let's go through the toolbox. I'll show you the seat inside, and then we'll try and start this thing. This is why I don't think the pinion works, pull starter pull rope, because I think that there are parts of it in here. The end of it probably came off and fell into the bell housing. Shackle, a lot of, obviously every nut and bolt you find on the farm goes in here. And your pinion parts, more bolts, brackets, bolts. These are the plugs to go underneath. I can always use those. And there's 3 of them in here. It looks like they're all 3 removed, which is good for when it was stored. Tool of some sort somebody made. What do we got? Plug. Oil can. And mostly just old nuts and bolts. Another plug. Pretty greasy. And spark plugs, of course. And I don't know why, but every one of these tractors, there's one of these in there. And that is the breather off of the carburetor. There's a part number on it right here. A 2F3607. 3807. And for some reason, those all get pulled off and thrown in the toolbox. But no big surprises in here. No cool homemade tools. I don't know if that's an original Cat D4 oil can. Who knows? There is one in the parts book. I've never seen one. Big draw pin. That looks like one of the original Cat draw pins. I'll put that in there. And that is that. Why do I call this 5T Tater? I mean, it's a T, Tater. You really don't want to be in my brain. But it's perfect because it came from an area in Colorado in the San Luis Valley where they spent their whole lives working on potato farms, as did Dad's RD4 inside the shop whiskers. So, this tractor is Tater. Is it lunchtime yet? Not yet, Tater, not yet. You gotta earn that lunch. We want to see you run. All right, Coach, go ahead and put me in the game. Let's go in the shop here and I'll show you the seat. Now, I've been told this may be an early Han seat, but I don't know. Well, you be the judge for yourself. This is the seat back. Now, it does have brass rivets, but what's neat about this is unlike the foam that Dad and I used when we made ours, they use the original springs. I don't know if this is a pro-made one. I don't know what the deal is, but you can see the springs inside of there, and it looks like there's some sort of coating in there as well. The same goes for the seat base, and you can see that it angles up just like the original, and that's because it is just like the original with the original springs underneath. And there are where it dogs in right there and right there into the lugs underneath the seat. It came with 2 distinct different armrest styles. This one that's L-shaped and this one that's not, and I know exactly why. On a side tank model machine like Lefty here, there's very little clearance in here to put one of the L-shaped ones that hangs over the side of the seat. So that side of the seat is going to have that standard style of armrest. The L-shaped one is for the right-hand side. I almost forgot about something that showed up with this D4 this morning, and I think this actually probably fits a D2 or a 22. You guys tell me. The bolt pattern doesn't look correct to me. A belt pulley. And it shifts in gear, it engages. The pulley's a little worse for wear, but it's here. What do you guys think? I'll never turn down a good belt pulley. You guys know that. Yeah, I got sidetracked again. Focus. Focus. I'll try not to get distracted again, okay? Really? Focus, Aaron. Focus. Start the D4, please.
It's got 9 gallons of fuel in it.
9 gallons? How's it look? Does it smell as weird as that RD4 did?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I need to pull the screen.
Well, I got better hopes for this one than that RD4.
I kind of do too.
There's really no sense starting this pony motor. The pinion's not working. It's snapping in, but the back half of the pinion's actually over in the toolbox. We're gonna open up the fuel pump and have a look at it. I turned the fuel back on, and you can see right here where the fuel line goes through underneath the floorboard. Looks like somebody just took and bent the floorboard. That drives me nuts. I would never do that. I would fit this correctly so I didn't mess up the paneling.
Some of the dirt away.
I honestly think you'd be better off to leave the diesel fuel on to the fuel pump. It helps keep this stuff all lubricated. from freezing up like that happened on the RD4. What are we looking for?
Well, we want to be sure that these...
I don't really know. I guess we could
are moving.
Squirt some Marvel Mystery Oil in there.
Will our crank work? We could crank it by hand and see if these move.
Yeah, okay. So we can't get our crank in here. This 5T, it's a little different, and it's missing the linkage in between the radiator and the front of the crankshaft. So I'm gonna push it with the skid steer, and Dad's gonna watch and see if it moves.
That looks good. It's free.
That's good. Do it again. Oh yeah, we're moving. The rack's moving. The fuel barrels look like they're moving. Is it moving freely?
Yeah.
All right, I'll push it and we'll see.
2. Yeah, I think they're moving.
Are you on compression?
No. Three of them are moving. Yeah, they're moving. That's good, that's good.
2,150 hours. We're gonna try and start it. Engine oil coming out where the new oil pressure gauge goes in. So we got oil pressure. The gauge is not working. I guess it's that one. But it's coming out where it connects to that oil manifold down there. This thing's kind of a piece of aftermarket junk, this oil pressure gauge, and it, I don't know, they wrapped it around the drain for the pony motor. I don't know. This is not the kind of work I would do. So I noticed the pony motor started spinning when we were pulling it, when the main engine started turning. But I think it was engaged. I think that this pinion is actually okay, because now it's got spring. It's correct. We're gonna pull it back up there and give it another go. That line for the oil pressure is really leaking. I'm gonna undo that and put a plug in it. There's where it was leaking, and look how brittle this stuff is, folks. That's our problem. I got a plug in there. I'm gonna snug up this oil filter housing. We've definitely got good oil pressure. I'm pretty spun up right now. We're trying to get the hood off, and it's pretty rusty. But if we get the hood on up, is if you guys are watching this right now, I'm doing my job. I'm doing a contract job. I'll leave it at that. We got that pulled off, and there's actually diesel come right out of there. So I just put it back on quick, and I think while we're in there, we might see if this pony will start now that this is disengaged. I don't think that there's anything wrong. I'm just gonna pull this through manually with the pull rope. Dad's gonna see if it's got any spark. Ready?
Yeah. I don't see nothing.
Yeah.
Go once more.
Ooh, those wires look terrible.
Yeah, I try it once more. If I don't see nothing, we'll stop.
Ready?
Yeah. No, I don't see any spark.
Yeah, these wires are pretty bad, actually.
Yeah, they may be toast.
We're gonna forget about the pony motor for now, since there's no spark. We got nothing to work with. I think we're gonna see if we can get the main diesel going. I might crack the injectors and see if we can get some diesel up there to them. We're maybe gonna take this out in the pasture and just pull it for a long duration. I'm gonna open up the fuel barrels on the injection pump. Hold it, I think I got diesel. Let me go bleed them. Let me shut the fuel barrels off. They got diesel coming out. That's a good sign. All right, I got diesel at the injectors. Let me shut them down. I closed the injectors, so they're got diesel to them. Go ahead. Ugly. Probably ought to drain it out and put some fresh stuff in here. It's been sitting for a long time.
We know it hasn't run for at least 4 or 5 years. Doesn't sound too bad.
No, it ain't bad. Okay. Not bad. Got a little intermittent pop, but I think it's still working out some of the air. I know this diesel is super old and kind of smells funny. It's been sitting for a long time. So maybe I'll drain this tank out, put fresh diesel in it. I think this is a good tractor. It idles very nice. This is the only tractor we have. I can actually back it in because it's got a tow hook on the front.
The reason I did that is you can see the difference in the length of the tracks.
Oh, yeah.
See? this 5 roller is.
Oh, look at that, another foot.
Almost, yeah, probably about a foot, 10, 12 inches.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's our 5 roller track frame Carl. That is our next big project. That's a 45 5T. Tater here is a 45 5T. And that is a 1945 D4400 power unit.
4 roller and a 5 roller.
Yeah, the 5 roller frame and the 4 roller frame. This is also a narrow gauge, and Carl over here is a wide gauge tractor too. So that's the other big difference here. I think if we iron out the magneto stuff, the pony motor will run in this one too. Okay, I'll let you 3 fight to the death to see which one gets to survive. All right, Dan. Told you I could do it if you put me in the game, coach. Thanks, Tater. You're the star player of LAOL. The 5T walk around, and will it start? And it will start. I think the pony motor will start too. I do want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Hut hut. Tot, you really need to step up your game. The 7U is her favorite big yellow cat.